Hey guys, this is Inksplattersenpai, and, well, actually, this is Cole, Inksplattersenpai and deviantart. I am a comic artist, and today's video is going to be mostly just about character design, and one of the things that often a lot of people that you guys talk about, or at least that I've heard, is something that a lot of my friends keep asking me is, how do you draw a character with a detailed design without messing it up and making it slightly different every time? Like, why doesn't the character have a different number of hair strands certain places every single time you draw him? And stuff like that. And the answer to that is quite simple, really. I draw a reference sheet like I am drawing right now for the main character of my upcoming comic series, and as you can see, I have redrawn him many times over and over again in the same exact with the same exact hairstyle. What I'm doing right now is I am essentially drawing it so that I actually count the number of hair strands that he has on each side of his head. And so, for example, this is only for less detailed shots. Now, in a panel with maybe, per se, in a panel like, if I want to draw him with more detail, then I would actually flesh out the hair a lot better. So I may include the strands, or actually have like the hairstyle be more detailed, but enough so that you can tell it's the same character. Another great way to do this is to draw your characters when you have their heads, is to come up with a shape. Like, I guess just a basic shape outline. So, I guess this guy's head could, and then also, well, your nose as well. You want to make sure you draw the character's nose the same way every single time. So, I've recently gotten into the habit of drawing his nose this way. And I don't really like the full-on anime, manga, comic style. I like the American one, but I also don't like the level of detail, because I don't have enough time to draw that much detail, so I oftentimes kind of go in between the two and simplify it, but not too much, so that it's completely manga-esque. So, I will usually draw the bridge, or like I did here, like this. This has become quite helpful, and it simplifies the process because you get a very high level of detail here. Like, you can always go in and add like the edges to the nose or whatever like that, and you can also add light sourcing and shadow to the bridge of the nose or whatever, and all this other detail, and you can shade it rounder and whatnot. But you can also simplify that single thing and just go like this. And be done. So it's very easy. Anyways, make sure you have like a page where you draw the character's features exactly the same every single time. So once again, you want to have a defining shape. So I have a very cat eye shape for my main character. That's because he has he's not fully human. There's a little bit of a demonic, like, symbiote kind of living in him. There's part of the story, just I need to explain that in order for you to understand why his eye shape's like that, but I can't really explain much more without spoiling any, can I? So, anyways, so his eye is very cat-shaped in the shape of the lids. Now, obviously, everyone's eye is circular because they're orbs, But the size of the iris, for example, can also tell you a lot about a character. How much they're squinting or how serious they are. I want him to be a very average human character. But so anyways, you always want your character's eyes to follow the same shape. So my character's eyes will always follow, it kind of starts out as a diamond that has been rounded on the bottom. And then the pupil takes up about just a slightly less than normal amount of the space in the eye. And then the eyelid can always be thought of as covering up that rest of the orb, so like right there. I always include the tear ducts and the corners of the eyes in mine because I feel like it adds a little more realism to my comic style. I like it. I've always been a big fan of details, but you guys don't have to do that if you don't want to. Anyways, so now, and then once again, in terms of detail, this is just a personal preference, but when you are drawing your character's eye, you want to decide whether or not, regardless of whether or not this is an anime character, manga character, or a comic character. Well, I guess manga really are just Japanese comics, but anyways, regardless of what kind of character it is, you need to decide how detailed you want your eyes to be. This depends on how close the shot is in the panel. Oftentimes, I will draw eyelashes simplified like this, but if I want to make it more detailed, I'll even include like small folds in the skin here and there, and I will have the lashes on the bottom because there's usually less on the bottom lid. I will have those be actual lines, and then just make the top ones those kind of like spiky things that usually kind of represent eyelashes. The same thing with eyebrows. You can go all the way and draw your eyebrows in like that. Or you can go with less detail. And remember, this all comes down to time. This is all about time. So I've taken maybe 2 minutes, probably less, probably 30, maybe a minute, to draw this little eye here. Think about that. You'd have to draw 2 of them if you were doing a close-up, or maybe it would take you less than that. But that's about 4 minutes, maybe 3, just for the eyes of a character. And you want to think about, like, do I have that much time when I'm drawing in like an average comic work day? Depends on whether or not you go to school, or you're a student, or you're just an adult and you don't have to do that. But regardless of whether or not it's your job, you need to think about how much time you have to work on each page. If you're like me and you have a lot of free time, well, I'm a student, but if you have a lot of free time and you want to spend a lot of time on this, then you don't really need to worry about time because it's not really a professional thing yet. So that begs the question, obviously, then, like, how much time is too much time? And in my opinion, a good amount of pages done per day is like maybe 8 to 9, 10 pages. And by that, I don't mean like storyboarded and finished. I mean you've already storyboarded the pages, your sketches are already done, and you're either digitally inking them or traditionally inking them, or however it is you do your comic art. I mean, I say that because that means that in about 1 weekend, you can finish an issue's worth, a whole chapter's worth of pages or whatever. Now, if you want to have more detailed work, you might want to cut that number down to 4 pages. Because, like I said, if I'm drawing eyes like this, then the rest of the character's face better be that detailed too. So I may add in a lot more realism in the way that I draw my character here, and that might make everything take that much longer when I'm creating them, because I have to replicate the same level of detail every single panel. Otherwise, readers are going to get this sense of inconsistency in the art style, and that can throw people off when you're reading. It's very, very frustrating, and sometimes you have trouble telling who's who and what character's what. And so, like I said before, it'll become difficult for people to differentiate between your characters if only one of them has this insane level of detail and the other ones have all the similar. You have to make sure that every single characteristic is very different. And so if every single detail is added like I'm doing here, then it can become exceedingly difficult to maintain an 8 to 9 to even 10 pages a day pace that, in my opinion, is the most ideal number of pages you're completing a day. And that's like that's on days that you've set aside to complete pages, obviously. I mean, like if you're still storyboarding a chapter, then I'm not really sure how long that takes. I know storyboarding for me doesn't take very long. I'll probably do a separate video on that for those of you that are interested. But anyways, yeah, so like I said, you can go in and I could do this whole eye here, and I could create this eye and design it like very traditional manga-esque style, and could probably finish drawing the whole eye in much less time. Or at least my manga style. So, as you can see here, and then I can take the eyebrows and maybe add a little bit of spikes on the end and kind of give it the hair feeling, but not really add that much detail. So as you can see here, I drew this one much faster, but at the same time it sacrifices a lot of the detail that this other one here has. And obviously you would have shading. This all depends on whether or not you're doing it in black and white and color as well. But deciding on how much detail you want in your character is very important. So I will leave you guys with that, and I will be doing some time-lapsing next. I'll show you guys just a very quick time-lapse and then talk about character design again in a future series. I think I'll make a kind of a set of videos about character design and how that works for me in my process, and then also conceptually designing panels and panel layout and things like that. Deciding specifically, I'll talk about like the psychology of reading a comic and maybe kind of like the flow of a page and how each tiny thing can change the way a reader reads something. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah. Thanks for watching.